you got into your group, and then how do you get to a point where you're 10 years old, like actually performing?
So there used to be like a youth activity center, and we called it the Yak. And basically, that's where you go after school. It's right next door. They had like basketball courts. They had like, art classes or whatever. Dances would be there. And like half pipe, you go skateboarding, whatever. So they would have these mixers, and I was like, well, fuck, maybe we could perform, you know. And we had our little group. It was called AOI, Art of Illusions, and we basically yeah, we would write our shit and perform it at these youth activity centers as little kids. Yeah.
Is that the group that was getting? Because Awkward's asked us to make sure to ask you about the group you were in back in the days that was getting major looks. Is that the group or later on?
So after that, I was in a different group called Soul Aggression, and they were an established group in the San Jose, Gilroy, Morgan Hill, like Central Coast area. And in LA, they were performances, but they had fired their lead singer, and basically they had asked me, my buddy at the time was the drummer, and asked me to step in and help them. And I did exactly that. Started writing new material, doing old shit for them, but still writing new material. And we basically almost got signed to Maverick.
Serious.
At the time, which was Madonna had owned Maverick. Deftones were on that label at that
I was
time.
gonna say that's a pop label. Like there's no rap
Yeah,
acts that I know of on there. That's
no,
like
like rock and roll, hip hop. Like it was me screaming, yelling, singing, jazz, reggae, hip hop, rap. It was everything over live instrumentation. It was called Soul Aggression. Sometimes I would bring a crate and a bat on stage and beat the shit out of the fucking crate and just go. I was
that's so dope.
weird dreadhead kid. I had a lot of angst because I grew up in a home in violence. Not only did I have music in my home, I had a lot of violence. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and it fucked him
Okay.
up. So he kind of took that all kids and me, and I was the end brunt of that because I was the youngest of four brothers and three sisters. I carried that on stage because I wanted to be like him, but I didn't want to be like him. So it was, angsty teenage shit. You know what I mean? But it was perfect
Yeah.
make for what Maverick wanted. And at the time, I was 16, 17, and they drove me out to LA, Grand Wilshire Hotel. I'll never forget this. Wilshire Boulevard, drinking Incredible Hulks at 17. Would go across Tijuana, do shows. And basically, they had an issue with me in Thunder Hut at the same time and having ties with the hip hop group because we were doing tours too throughout the whole West Coast. We were doing shows, and they thought my ties were too great, so they actually kicked me out of the band before we signed. And Maverick came back to them and was like, "Yo, where's your lead singer?" They tried to do some like Nirvana cover type vibe, and it didn't work out for them. They're like, "Where's your lead singer? We don't want you without your lead singer. Go fuck off." So, long story short, Maverick, at a young age, my life could have been so much different. But I'm glad. I feel like there's a reason why I didn't get signed at a young age.
Hmm.
It's a reason. There's a reason why.
There's a reason, absolutely. The journey was meant to go the way that it went.
And then I had another band here.
What's Thunder Hut?
Thunder Hut is a hip hop collective group of just crazy goons. San Jose, Santa Cruz, just California crazy dudes. Man, the vibe and music is just, I think we were ahead of our time. And we didn't have the outlets that people have now. That if we did have those outlets, I feel like we would have been in a different category right now. But like I said before, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
That's a serious statement, though, about the idea that due to the technological limitations of being able to promote your music in the way that an independent artist can now, you're stunted by the fact that you weren't following trends. Usually that's what I interpret when I hear ahead of your time. You're doing, or you're at the cusp of shit that's like not yet blooming, and so it's not the current hot thing.
It started my emotional music, and today we'll call it emo rap. I was, I've been on that shit way before it was categorized. When people were in the hyphy movement, I was not doing that. I was doing some other shit. I was banging.
That means that the question then, dude, does that mean that you even predated, which I don't consider him emo rap, right? But he considers himself emo rap. But I don't consider what he made musically what is considered emo rap. But Joe Budden, essentially, when he was doing mood musics, like that's after that, right?
So Joe Budden, like, at one point, people respected Joe Budden for what his craft was because he was in a super group, like a crazy super group. What's
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, he was on point at one time, and people forget that. But I don't think that he was tapped in all the way in that lane. He had his own lane and he had his own thing, but I don't think he was in that sort of.
I don't either. He does though. That's why he compares what he does to what like Drake and shit. And I'm like, bro, what you did isn't what Drake does at all.
I get compared to so many artists. I've been compared to Kanye to PM Dawn. Like, it's just so many. There's so many levels to the shit that he hasn't touched on, and he just doesn't have the capability of touching on.
Yeah, not at all. He's a traditional rapper, essentially.
He
might be rapping about emo things, but you're still rapping traditionally in a very traditional sense over traditional hip hop sounds in a very traditional hip hop manner with 16s, hook, 16s, hook, 16,
He was definitely doing it differently and more. He wasn't afraid to like let loose and be emotionally unstable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the vulnerability that some of us creatives have. I've been made fun of my whole life because of some of my music tastes, the way I look, the way I dress, the way I feel. But it's crazy how these fads turn around, and then 15 years later, niggas doing the same shit I've been doing this way before. It's like, oh, now this is cool. Now this is
shit, Uri.
Now niggas want to shit. Okay, I see where you were at. Like, all right,